G'day guys, Aaron here, and welcome back to another Wednesday night live stream. So good to have a lot of regulars here. I have noticed a couple of new people in the chat room talking amongst themselves. So it's very good to have you here. It's been a very interesting week, and tonight we are back hitting these strong topics that no one else will talk about. So it's not all. We didn't even get through the first month before they start trying to shaft us on stuff. So we do have Jason here, so we will bring Jason in a second. But before we start, please hit that subscribe button, give this a thumbs up, and find us on Patreon, Instagram, and Facebook for more updates. And every bit of help, everything will help if you sign up and all that. So we will bring in Jason. G'day, Jason. How you going?
Not too bad. How is everyone? Good to see people back in the chat. It's been an interesting 5 weeks. I've been away on holidays.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Yeah, good for nothing. Well, you're gonna have to save up those holidays for my big 50th birthday party coming up.
I was going to say, looks like you're losing a bit in the front there, and that little tuft of hair you got in the front there looking a bit airy in the front there, man. Looking a bit airy.
No, I did get a haircut, and she cut it ultra short, only because it is so bloody hot up here, muggy. I said, just take it off. It all grows back eventually. I'm getting a haircut every 3 to 4 weeks.
So you're better off just buying one of those shaving setups, like you just do a buzz cut, man. Saves you having to spend the money, but it's been interesting 5 weeks, that's for sure. I went away to Port Macquarie, visit my family, which you know about, and then came back, and then I went to Malakuta. That's where the fires were a couple of years ago. It was interesting to see everything basically grown back. I mean, it was pretty, except the lower foliage, man, a lot of weeds, like literally so thick you couldn't even walk through it because the canopies, the canopies haven't rejuvenated. So, it was interesting to watch all that. And you sort of, except for a few burnt trees, you sort of couldn't tell there was really a fire there. So it's come back pretty darn good down there in Malakuta. So caught some fish, wasn't the best sort of fishing, I don't think. Some people had some good fishing, but and I'm pretty sure I got COVID, man. On the first week of my holiday, one of my friends' mum had it, and then I think he got it because this is the first time in history I've lost my smell, taste. I got the sweats, and it was for about a week, man. And it was pretty interesting. Like, especially I spent one day in bed pretty much, and I've still got a bloody cough now because me and Aaron were talking before the show, and I've just been, all day I was fine. Then all of a sudden I'm just coughing violently for the last 2 hours. So if I end up muting, guys, and you see me coughing, I'm really sorry, but it seems to have subsided a bit, which is good. So, but anyway, we're back, and wish it was on better terms, I guess, for information. But
Yeah, well, so much for your jabs. They worked well, didn't they?
It lost. I mean, same thing. My mate was like, "Oh, let's have a couple of ciders or something." He was having beer. I was having some ciders, and I was like, "Well, what's the point? Can't even taste it, so no point really even having it." So it was interesting, but just for that day, man, sweats. Even the next day, it wasn't even that hot. We had to do some work on the boat, and I was just like, man, the next day I was in that shed, and I was just dripping in sweat, man. It was horrible, and runny nose. But I mean, realistically, it wasn't anything worse than any other flu that I've ever had. Probably more benign than the other flus that I've had, where you're out for 3 or 4 days. But I was only really out for about a day, but unfortunately this cough has stayed with me for a little bit. So, but it's happened to me before when I've had the flu. A cough sort of stayed for a while. So, but anyway, we'll see what happens, man. It's we're up on the up and up. It didn't kill me, so as they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So,
exactly. And we'd like to thank Epic Fly for the awesome $100 donation. Thank you so much. Especially after this week, this will be going towards buying some new camera gear. I broke yet another camera, knocked it over, and you saw the photos. If you go on my Instagram, on the Building Stuff Australia, you'll see the what's left of the lens, and that landed full force straight onto the front lens. I haven't tested the camera out. I think it's working, but the lens is shot. So thank you so much, Epic Fly.
$100. Yeah, you're going to buy him a new lens for his camera. I did see it looked a bit worse for wear. So
hang on. Yeah, got it here. It doesn't look like much there, but it's all scratched up around the edge. No, it's not cracked, but it doesn't turn the zoom or anything. It doesn't focus. It's just all all out of blur. So, guys, go over to Building Stuff Australia and you'll see the little video I made on the broken camera. You'll see how it actually operates, which it doesn't. So you'll see that. So get over there and sign up to my Instagram over there. I've just broken 100 people on that, and I got 500 people finally today, just about 20 minutes ago. Subscriber number 500 on Building Stuff Australia. And after this, sorry to plug it, but after this live stream, 15 minutes later, I have got a new video coming out. So I'll be on the premiere chatting about what I built. So it's pretty interesting. I turned a shed into pulled down a shed and used all the parts to make a big workbench for the welding area.
As they say, guys, totally over-engineered, definitely over-engineered. Like, I'd hate it. I keep telling him, if he's got to move out one day, man, he's going to need like 80 trucks, I reckon, to move all the shit that he's got out of that house, man. So you pretty much got to stay there the rest of your life, I think, man.
Well, that's the plan. That's why I built the new Shooting Stuff Australia headquarters, because I don't plan on moving out of here. I looked at buying land and property, anything worth shooting or hunting on. You really need well over several hundred acres, really, to get the full benefit of it. And it's just so expensive now. Even my little house has been valued at over $1 million now. So, yeah, it's definitely gone crazy here in Brisbane. It's even worse down your way in Victoria. I don't know how people are going to get into their own homes soon.
My way? I'm in New South Wales, you pelican.
Yeah, down your way, I said.
Oh, okay, down. Yeah, Sydney's Victoria, man. Yeah, that makes sense.
I said down your way and Victoria. Once
again,
I don't
think there was an and there. I don't think there was an and.
Yeah, same thing. New Year, and Jason still doesn't open his ears.
Here we go. What's this one say? I'm sorry, I'm losing him here. Weird.
Thank you to Lockie for the $20 donation. Thank you so much, guys. Put in some comments, because if you lay a super chat, of course, we're going to read your comments out.
Aaron says you need bikini girls, Aaron, to you'll be 1 million subs in no time. Hey, I've told him that before with shooting stuff, but apparently he didn't want to cheapen the brand. Chris said, is that Malakutas, Victoria? Yes, in just that northeastern Victoria. Nice place. If you ever get to go down there, go and stay in the caravan park. My mate's uncle sort of owns a house there, so we were in a house, which sometimes is good and bad. I think you got that, camping sort of atmosphere on the foreshore caravan park, but it's a beautiful place, man. If you like fishing, take your family, you like relaxing, perfect place for you.
My parents looked at buying the post office down there years ago. Thank God they didn't, because they've been stuck down in Victoria.
Hey, at least you guarantee people always need to send stuff. So, I mean, you're always good. But before we go, I'll probably read the roll call. Did you do that last couple of weeks? I didn't watch, so sorry.
I certainly did. But thanks to BD83 for the super chat. More money for Aaron's hair dye to cover up the grey. I'll never dye my hair. I'm happy to go grey.
I think I'll be one of those grey ones, man, that, it sort of goes salt and peppery until I'm like 16. If it's going to go grey, let's just get it done, get it on with. But anyway, all right, let's go. Who we got? Here we got, was it Angel or Angela? I think it's Angela. I'm pretty sure we said it was Angela last time. BD83, Ben Taz, Chris Legend, Legendary, Christian Magno, Cliff Lee, Colin Penfold, Epic Flyer, who just gives it that $100 super chat. What a legend. Farmer Dave, Fox 860, Harps 666. Hunters and Shooters Society of Australia, Hunting Victoria, Jay Icon, Josh D, Lockie McFarlane, Lincoln Kane, Lone Wolf calling Wolf Den, Lone Wolf, two after the other, Matt Outdoor Adventures, Mark Duncan, Matt Rumsey. I just call you there, Mark Duncan, just luckily as I was moving past the M's. Matt Rumsey, Mr. Wonderful, Mr. John Boy 1965, the NSC, Overland Forex for Australia, Peter from the NSC, Phantom HD, Phil Walter, Richard, Rob's Woodworking, Salty Skippy, Southern Star Review. You can check out his channel too. He does reviews and hunting and guns and outdoor equipment, and chainsaws and all that sort of stuff. Check him out. Tube User C1. You're right. It's Probing, our buddy Probing on his new account, and Vegas AB. So sorry if you got Wayne Hobbs just popped up there too. So thank you, Wayne. You've just popped up right at the end. So thank you to the people that at the top, we've also got Andrew Tom Lux as well. So you've just popped up as well. So there you go, Andrew.
Yes, there's It is awesome, and there's a few new people I've seen in the comment section here as well. And thanks to Matt Outdoors for the super chat. Military grade compounds bunker. Well, after the storm that smashed us today, I think we would need it. My property got flooded, and my new shed got flooded because we got absolutely hammered a couple of weeks ago. But luckily, none of the equipment got damaged.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. Been mixed weather, hasn't it? Yeah, 1 minute raining, next minute it's humid and overcast, next minute high winds. It's been pretty crazy, but we've got a good topic, interesting topic for tonight. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Anything else to cover before we get into it, or?
Yeah, I released a on my Facebook page. You can go have a look on the Shooting Stuff Australia Facebook page. A bit of a thing. So a shooting organisation donated 100K, which obviously I'm assuming it's members' money because they're an organisation, to Bob Catter. And I asked you guys, what would you much rather see? 100K to fight gun laws or 100K to a politician? And overwhelmingly, people wanted to fight gun laws, not prop up politicians.
Yeah,
Which
I mean,
understandable.
Often that sort of money. I mean, it generally, we've seen that over 10 years. It's generally wasted. We've seen multiple organisations donate to apparently pro-gun parties that hasn't resulted in any really any meaningful change, really. So I'd rather spend that in some sort of court action, to do something like that. That's something that's what most people would want at the end of the day. They've just seen over the many years that doesn't change anything. So
Yeah. Yeah, no. It's just if I was a member, I was dumb enough to be a member of them, I would be absolutely pissed off. What the hell are you doing with my members' money? 100K, you could get into the High Court and fight the appearance laws. You could fight anything that comes up with that 100K. No, they are asking for donations to fight stuff in court, and there it just goes straight to a politician.
I know Aaron thinks a little bit different than I do. He's an okay guy. I don't think there's anything wrong. He's a bit nutty, old Bob Catter, the way he laughs. And, it is pretty funny to watch sometimes. I mean, I guess he's a good supporter, but at the end of the day, I mean, you've really got to look to, as I've said many, many times over, probably people are sick of me probably saying it, to be brutally honest, but, you've sort of been in politics for just over on 50 years. And, I don't know any legislation that's even been proposed into Parliament by the Catter Party, let alone any sort of change in Queensland. So, again, not that I don't like the guy. I think he's a good advocate. But, again, advocacy has to transpire into actual action and actually getting some changes. So it's great to have a supporter. I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to action. And, you've been in Parliament 50 years and you've not made one change. People might get upset about saying that, but that's the reality, unfortunately. Just no point lying to you guys and saying, yeah, he's got 10 pieces of legislation over the line when that's just clearly not the case, not even one. So let's be honest here. They're good guys. They're good advocates. But, I mean, again, we don't just need vocals and talking and telling shooters what they want to hear, which seems to be, a common denominator of a lot of these pro-gun or political parties. We want some action, man. Action. That's what we want.
Well, Probing said the same thing. What did they get for 100K? A bit of lip surface. Hey, I'm sure Bob Catter is a lovely bloke behind the scenes. He probably means well and he's a nice bloke. But, my view on all politicians are just leeches off the back of taxpayers. But really, what has he done for us? What has he won? What has he got back? And I didn't have an argument with people. People were saying, oh, he's done a lot for shooters. And I said, please show me the evidence. What has he done? I still see the NFA in there, and I still can't take a semi-auto shotgun out duck hunting. Oh, that's right. I can't even duck hunt in Queensland. So what has he done in almost 50 years? But I'm sure he's a nice guy behind the scenes. But yeah, really, I want to see 100K. What is he going to do? Talk it up for a little bit and then get re-elected, and that's the end of it.
Matt Cato's got
who knows?
Before we read Matt's one.
Yeah.
Harp said, words without action equal nothing. Exactly. But
exactly.
There are a lot of people that do fall for that. They say, well, they just don't know. No disrespect to them. There's, some people just don't have the capacity to understand what's happening, even let alone to understand the political spectrum of what happens in Queensland. Having no upper house, etc. How things work in Queensland. Most people don't want to know about it. Hey, I don't blame them. We're sick of it too. But at the end of the day, you've got to actually make some change. No point giving us lip service all the time, yet there's not one change in 50 years. That's That's reality. You know what I mean? And then people get all huff and chuff when you tell them nothing for 50 years. Oh, you're against them. What? Just telling you what the facts are. If you don't like the facts, well, that's your problem, you know?
Yeah, prove me wrong. Is that prove me wrong? Like, show me what he's won, and
But
what
that's
are we
why
going
they
to?
get upset, though, because they know that what we're saying is true. That's why they get upset. You know what I mean? Because, well, oh shit, belly aching and so forth, and whining about it.
Yeah, well, in 12 months' time, let's see what that 100 grand of members' money has done them. And thank you to Hunting Victoria. Get a purple stripe through the hair, Aaron. No, I'm not a big fat lesbian. So I don't need purple in
Look
my
like
hair.
one.
Thanks.
You look like one.
Gee, thanks.
Starting to look like one anyway. You're starting to put on a bit of chub, so just like me. So
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I'm 50. I've got an excuse. You got 10 more years to go. What's yours?
yeah, probably more.
Thank
I'm
you.
more than you now. So
Thank you very much, Matt Cato. Matt was on the show last week. It's always good to catch up with him. And thank you to everyone that came on. They're not big raters, the shows, when I have everyone on, but then again, I enjoy talking to you guys. So next time we do it, let's try and get a lot more people on. People haven't been on before. Jump on and talk. Don't be shy. We don't bite. And Matt says, did you see Andy Medic is demanding the end of fox and wild dog bounty? And Jace, you missed me in the roll call again.
sorry. Well, this is what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna get Matt. He's got all the guitars. We're gonna find out if he's a shredder or he's got all the gear and no idea. But he's a valuable person on the live stream, so that's good. But anyone doesn't know who Andy Medic is, he's the Animal Justice Party representative in Parliament in the upper house in Victoria. So thank God he's not in my state. But yeah, I mean, who an idiot, you know. He got found out, wasn't it, was it November sometime, maybe December? Apparently his daughter was, you know, quote unquote attacked, but then she was apparently attacking someone, and then they tried to attack said person, and then the person chucked the I think it was like a spray paint or something at her and apparently hit her with it. So, you know, it's funny and needless to say. And then Andy Medic tried to, you know, play victim for his daughter, but then they got found out as being a pack of liars. So,
yeah,
very interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, they're all deceptive, all those sort of.
One thing here, PD83 said nice doesn't translate to effectiveness. So I guess he's talking about Kata. Yeah, absolutely. You know, being nice and you know and trying to, you know, say, well, we want this and this without any form of action behind it or a way to move forward is exactly just that, just words.
Yep. And Vegas, he's a new one on here, and he's he come up some good questions. That where do I donate? Well, just hit the super chat function, and you should be able to donate. I'm not 100% how it works because we use a different program, so we're not seeing the actual YouTube feed here. So there should be somewhere for a super chat if you like, Vegas.
Lone Wolf said ScoMo's buying votes at the moment, giving $800 to workers. Yeah, I think ScoMo's gone, to be honest. I could be proven wrong, but I think they're up for a really big, you know, rude awakening at the election. I think they're up for a big. I think we're going to get Albanese in a pretty hung parliament or a minority government. I think that's what we're going to get. I hate Albanese's. You know, I'm conservative, and ScoMo's just a sellout, man, of all the things he's done and said. You know, I was on holiday just watching some of this news, just shaking my head. The Djokovic affair, I mean, making us look like an asshole from the whole entire world. These guys are supposed to be conservative, and it's not about Djokovic, man. It's about the government installing these rules and mandates. That's what it's about. Not about a tennis player, guys. Forget the tennis player. That's a side issue. You know, I get it. People don't want people to come into the country, but you know, he did say on the radio, on TV, well, we're not a country that has to get it. So why is he being kicked out then? It doesn't make sense. You know, again, like I said, it's not about Djokovic. It's about the government. It's about the decisions they're making. Remember, play the game, not the ball, as they say. Or is it play the ball, not the game? I can't remember the exact saying, but you get the drift.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And we do have Peter coming on very soon from the NSC. We're going to talk about tonight's topic. So he's going to explain a few things. Are we
going to discuss it first, or what are we going to do?
Yeah, we'll bring it up here. I've got a few things. So what it is in New South Wales, if I think it's the police, isn't it, who want a few changes. Well, quite a few changes. There is a document out there online on Facebook you can find. I think the NSC has put it out, and it's quite yeah, it's a lot of gobbledygook, but I do have a breakdown. I sent an email from the NSC here. So it goes on to say what it is. The report outlines, amongst other punitive measures, which the government supports, revoke of P650s for testing and unlicensed range use. So, as you just told me before the show, Jason, that's people can't, who think of getting into shooting, can't go and try it. They're going to have to
Yeah.
actually go get the gun license before they actually try and shoot. It's a bit
Yeah.
ridiculous, You got to try before you buy, don't you? Really, like it's like buying a car. You don't know if you want to buy that car or get into that car until you actually had a go of it. Require all firearms clubs to inform the FAR if they have refused a person membership and reasons. I think they already do that. I got a funny feeling because I know the pistol club I used to belong to used to do that. Inform the police if they refuse someone.
And so, but if
Uh,
someone's got a license, I mean, what reason would they have unless they had, a record, which you'd have to tick on the form anyway? They wouldn't be able to shoot if they've filled out the form, correctly without breaking the law and lying on that form. So, again, why would a club, unless someone's broken the law, why would they inform the club? I mean, and why would the club inform the registry? I don't think it makes any sense, but I mean, that's not probably inherently bad, but it's just, why? What's the reasoning behind that?
yeah, exactly. And this is a this is actually of statutory limits on what kind and numbers of firearms can be owned. Well, I've seen people out there online commenting that they've heard that it's going to be like no more than 3 guns. That's it. Um, if you own more than 3 guns right now, if this passes, prepare to sell a whole heap of guns of yours, and that'll lower the price of everything because the market will be flooded.
Yeah,
You
that
will,
one's really bad. That one is
yeah,
really bad. That's the one of most of these ones. I mean, obviously there's a lot more to come, but that's probably one of the bad ones. I mean, having to get people to sell a lot of their prized possessions and property just to satisfy some, crazy anti-gun agenda for no reason whatsoever.
and that will probably end the shooting sports. A lot of people just say, stuff this, I'm out of here. Well, especially in New South Wales, and they'll probably pack up and move to another state.
Well, on a side note, just quickly, I mean, I was looking at, you remember when I put them on Facebook the other day, I think, I got about 2,500 rounds of the 140 ELD match for the 6.5 for the 260. Man, I looked at prices, even some of the cheapest gun shops in Australia. I looked around the state, ELDMs, $87 to $90 a box now. ELDX is in 30 cal, some up to $95, $97 a box. I mean, you guys seen these massive changes? I'm glad I spent that $1,500 probably last year, sometime towards maybe end of last year, middle of last year, I would say. Maybe probably had it for a year now. And I bought 2,500 rounds. I'll probably shoot them for 15 years. But man, prices have absolutely skyrocketed. I think when I was buying them, they were $77 a box, but I was getting them cheap for about $53 buying in bulk. But prices are, man, wow, I'm glad I bought them because sooner I got an okay job and I won't be able to afford to shoot.
Yeah, everything's getting overpriced. And I haven't seen the big bulk packs being sold lately as well.
None on there either. No, none.
Yeah. Where they just scoop them out of a big bucket and hand them over. I haven't seen that for quite a while. Okay. Police have the powers to seize firearms registered to the license holder following the license holder's death. Now, a mate of mine's husband just died, and that would have been pretty devastating because she's a gun owner, and being a gun owner, she's got to get it signed over, and she's got something like 3 months or 6 months, something like that. I can't remember the details to actually sign it over to her name or her kid's name. They just seize them straight away. It doesn't even give you the chance to do it. It could be very sentimental. We all know when the cops you hear it time and time again. Once they seize your guns, no care is taken, and I've seen so many reports online of they come back damaged and basically worthless, or bits missing off them. I don't think that's a good one at all. You've got to give grieving people the time to sort stuff out for themselves.
Or at least get a dealer involved. Hopefully that will still continue where a dealer can pick them up on behalf of the person and go about it that way. Or if the police do have them, the dealer can get in there pretty quick and get them. So hopefully that remains.
Well, if they're licensed gun holders and they can decide into their own name, they're grieving. It's the last thing on their mind for a few weeks.
Let's go. We need to move through these things pretty quick, man. If Peter's coming on, so
yeah. Well, he's not in the. I don't know where he's gone. He's not in the chat here to come on.
Oh, yeah. Require a person to get fingerprints as well. So don't know why I need to get fingerprinted. I mean, if I'm already known to police and apparently, if you've committed crimes, they'd already know that anyway. So don't know why that even helps. That's just another control measure on shooters. And this one's interesting too. This is very open-ended. Grant the commissioner authority to limit licenses based on a shooter's age. So what will that mean? If you're, say, 20 years old, for an example, and you live out rural and you want to start your own pest control company and get category C and D, well, you may not be eligible to get category C and D because of your age. That's just one example of.
Or it could be can't get your category H to your 21, or it could be no more junior licenses.
Hey, listen, I'll say one thing. I'll caveat. I would allow that, and let me explain. If we also have the same system available, where after 5 years, I mean, obviously I wouldn't want this in play. I just want the guns in general, right? But if this is the way it could be to get them, okay, if you're by age, if you've held your gun license for 5 years and not committed any offences, you can then get, say, shotguns, semi-auto and pump shotguns up to, say, 5 rounds. If you've had your gun license for, say, 8 years, I'm just giving rough examples, 8 years, then you can get access to category C and D firearms, or 10 years because you've proven to be a good law-abiding system. If that offer was on the table as well, as part of this, then I'd probably accept that, because it's either that or you get nothing at all, which is what we've got now. Obviously, I don't like to do that. We should just have them because we can have them and we license people that are good people without criminal records. I agree with that. But I mean, if that was a way to do it, then hey, why not introduce that? If you're going to go this way, well, then introduce the other as well, to say we can have these types of guns after, I hate to say it, good behavior. Why not do that?
Yeah, exactly. I actually agree with you on that one. Peter's come in, so we'll quickly just flip through the last few. Grant commissioners authority to limit licenses based on shooters' age. You said that. Create criteria to limit, control, and eliminate peak firearms associations. Couldn't agree more with that.
Actually, listen, that's the one. I mean, yes, to stop the monopoly, especially since some of the organisations that we've got now are totally useless at advocating for shooters. I would actually agree with that. I would actually agree to say, I'm all about free market, free business, but I think we should be, eliminating a monopoly on shooters, on organisations and ranges. I think that's a great idea. Let me know in the comments. Do you disagree with that, guys? Do you think that's too much overreach? Because I'd love to see some of these big organisations or organisations in general that aren't doing anything get a rocket up their bum. I think that'd be fantastic. It might actually make them act and start doing something. Oh, our nest egg and our money's been attacked here. Shit, we better do something,
Or would it mean that get rid of everyone that has a different view, and they just have yes men that will just roll over on all the bans? Only yes men can be in line. That could work both ways. But yeah, I'm all for breaking up these organisations, breaking them all up. If you're too big, I don't think any organisation, and no shadow sort of offsprings or any sort of bullshit like that, no organisation should be allowed to own any more than 3 gun ranges. End of story. They must be sold to independent people and run totally independent with no interference from a bigger club whatsoever.
Listen, I normally wouldn't agree with that, but I think what we're dealing with in Australia with people, the stuff that we're seeing with ranges and the slow takeover of all ranges and land and amassing a large amount of wealth and just this is affecting shooters. So normally I wouldn't agree with that. I think organisations can do what they want, but I think what we're dealing with in Australia, I would say yes to that. I think that's a very integral part. Snap it up, break it up, and we don't have 1 or 2 or 3 organisations running the whole entire country. I don't like that. I've never have liked that from before starting the show. But getting on the next one, require the use of online and online interaction with the FAR. This is designed to strangle shooter and club interaction. Well, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what that means, but anyway, criminalise the possession of firearms parts, not actual firearms or parts already defined under the law. I mean, that could be, as you guys know, that could be so many things that could come under and things that could cause us issues. Require a person to pass a probity check before becoming a firearms club executive and refusal refuse approval of a firearms club or to revoke a status of the club where the club executive fails the probity requirements. So what's that? It could be like bankruptcy and those sort of things.
That means they got to pass basically a good moral sort of a test. Where that means that could be how they get rid of the guys who have a different opinion and only be yes men to roll over. That's how they could do it.
Yeah, exactly. What's morally got to do with anything in regards to someone passing, being an approval to be, their club status? What's that? What's their moral compass got to do with them? Yeah, are they criminal? Yes. No. Are they not criminal? No. They get the club status. Easy.
Yeah, exactly. Create regulations, making power to prescribe eligibility criteria for firearms dealers. So we're not really too sure on that. I'm sure Peter will tell us about that. And lastly, there's a lot more on this, but this is the main ones. Create regulation, making power to prescribe safe storage requirements for firearms during transit and manufacture or competitions. Well, you already have all that. You don't need to overcomplicate it. It's working. You already have it. End of story. Why try and bring more regulations in to make it so hard to move your guns around? To me, that's bullshit. Exactly. So Peter's here. We'll bring Peter in. G'day, Peter, and Happy New Year. Nice to see you again.
Aaron. Good to see you both, boys. Good evening to everybody.
Before we start, I want to thank Reese
Hang on. There's no. Where's the bookshelf, Peter? Where's the bookshelf? People are going to
the bookshelf's gone to God, Jace.
That's the number one priority before we start any discussions. Where's the bookshelf?
Yeah, no, the bookshelf's gone to God, and probably the next time you guys have me on, you'll see the new bookshelf. So yeah,
I'm sure the wife was happy to see the back of it, and probably half the stash of books. I'm sure.
Who's making it for you? Is anyone making it for you?
Ex-government office furniture, steel bookcase.
Yeah. Oh, sweet.
He can't afford your type of. Well, he probably can, but he doesn't want something that weighs 4,000 kilos and he needs a truck to move. So,
exactly. As you're going to see after this show, what I just built. Yeah, it's like a fortress of workbenches. Want to thank Reese here. Please donate. These guys actually care about our rights and shooters and hunters. Thank you so much, Reese Smith. Really do appreciate the $80 super chat. Thank you so much. It was very kind of you. So, Peter, quick rundown before we get into this. NSC, what have you been doing?
Very, very busy. Very quiet in Christmas. Actually managed to get some good downtime and some time off, unlike the year before. But we've come into it full swing. It's game on again. Yesterday, I was busy briefing the NSC's barrister for a legal action on a licence refusal for one of the members that's on here tonight that we'll be representing in the Firearms Appeals Committee in Victoria. Game on. We actually haven't been in court against the Victorian Registry since the start of the first lockdown. But looks like we're game on again. So it's starting. And then obviously we have the matter that's being discussed tonight on the radar as well, which is very, very deeply disturbing. Where it's come from, just so the shooters out there understand, there's been a document that's actually been leaked, and it's a document that was prepared for the New South Wales Government Cabinet. So it's what they call a Cabinet in Confidence document, which means that if this document hadn't been leaked, there would have been no way to get it, because Cabinet in Confidence documents are exempt from FOI requests, for argument's sake, as an example. So somebody's leaked the proposal. It's gone to the New South Wales Government Cabinet. We suspect that it went to Cabinet probably October, November, before Christmas last year, which means everything that's in there was discussed by Cabinet. Now, the document originated from the New South Wales Firearms Registry, and it's basically their wish list of things that they want. It's been, as far as we know, prepared without any consultation with any of the New South Wales shooting organisations. And in a nutshell, I'd probably sum it up as basically being a wish list for Gun Control Australia. Nothing more, nothing less. So the pollies have had a natter amongst themselves. They've talked about this, where it goes from here in process. The government would obviously need to make necessary legislation changes to push these new laws and changes through. given I think that New South Wales is about a year or so away from an election, it would probably be political suicide for them to try and do it before the election. And this is where it's really important that we send a very, very loud and clear message that we are going to punish you if you even think about doing this politically. But my great fear is that if the elections run and the government gets re-elected, that the changes and the proposals that are in the leaked document will get pushed through. So it's not good news, I'm afraid, unfortunately. And as we all know, the registries around Australia all copy each other. So one of the proposals obviously is for fingerprinting. So specifically pistol licence holders in New South Wales. They've got a real hard-on about fingerprinting pistol licence holders. And in the document, they even mention, well, Victoria does, so we're just copying Victoria on this. Guaranteed if it gets up in New South Wales, it'll roll out across Australia because we know that they all talk to each other and they all follow each other's lead, like the good little Muppets that they are. So as I said, it's a very, very dangerous proposal that's sitting there at the moment for shooters, not only in New South Wales, but in all states of Australia.
Yeah, exactly. Jason?
One of these ones we want to talk about, but it's probably going to be more of a discussion because I know you guys have fallen for you've had to do this as well. And Hunters and Shooters Society said it interestingly here. Peak Firearms body is a little different in a different bin. They're a member of GainCom, which is a peak body, and he's only small but not a major association. They need that to be a member to get their club membership themselves. So this goes back to what we were just talking about. I mean, are we off the mark? Why does a club, and I've known this for years too, it's a stupid system. And again, it just creates massive problems within the shooting community that you have to be a member of said peak body. That means you really can't say, unless two are on the same page, you can't really say or do much because you don't want a fear of losing your endorsement from the peak body to keep your club membership. So again, are we wrong in saying wipe away all this peak body crap, or what's the go?
Look, to be honest, Jace, it's a bit of a double-edged sword because if you do it, the game plan would obviously be to keep the bodies that are friendly and that roll over and do as they're told and create no problems or resistance and basically get rid of or prevent anybody that's a potential problem.
Hang on, but except for you guys, that's basically what we've got right now. You're the guys, the only real ones trying to actually do some legal action or something. The other ones, we're in that situation now.
Absolutely. So as I said, it's a double-edged sword, but it's bad now. It could get worse is the point that I'm trying to make.
I don't know how much worse it could get because we're already worse. It's already pretty bad as it is, but I'm sure it could get worse, yeah.
Well, one of the things we've seen in Victoria in particular is in the recent changes down here, the Victorian government said, but we consulted. Yeah, who did you consult with? You basically consulted with your hand-picked crew, your yes people, and then you went, we consulted. Look.
We know who they consulted with, don't we?
Well, we do.
All the time.
Exactly. You know, the usual suspects, and we all know who they are. But at the end of the day, you know, you can say we consulted. Oh, look, but we consulted and there was no problems with this like they did in Victoria. Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shameful. Shameful. I got a funny one here before we go. BD83 says that one day they'll require owners to undergo a Uranus probity check.
Just like China said about their
well, your probity check's being done before you can get your license.
just like what the communist China said about the new COVID test, the anal swabs that they're lining up for.
We'll pass on those. Definitely.
Well, thank you very much to Vegas AB for the super chat. Really do appreciate that. And our good friend JR is back again. Thank you, the NSC, he says. Thank you very much, JR, for the super chat. Thank you for everyone super chatting. You've been very kind tonight. It's fantastic.
And we've seen the NSC helping out. I'm sure that's been postponed, I think. I've been out of the loop for 4 or 5 weeks now. But the decision on Sterren with that self-defense case, I think he's on the chat tonight. Oh, next week. So people that don't know about that was the self-defense case for that the nice fella in we actually had on the show from Northern Territory. So hopefully we'll get a good result on that. Shouldn't have never gone this far. Ridiculous that this has even gone to court. But how many organisations organisations do you know that are actually out there getting barristers involved for their shooters to try and get either their licenses back or licenses issued or whatever issue it might be, getting it sorted? So, well done to these guys, and join up. We've got Genuine Reasons. What was it, Aaron? Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria.
Victoria, yes, and forgot to say, NSC are sponsoring this episode, as they do every episode, which is absolutely fantastic. Great partnership we've had, and it's good to get your name out there.
And guys, I will say a big thank you, if I may, to all the show's supporters and regulars that ordered merch. Some of the guys, I could not believe some of the guys, the amount of merch that they've ordered. We've still got some left. So if anyone wants any NSC merch, and I'm wearing my NSC T-shirt, as you can see tonight, nice. Drop me a line, and we'll see what we can do. But there is more on the way, and I know there's a couple of members that are waiting on certain colours and sizes. Obviously, it's a bit tough with COVID at the moment in getting stuff, especially when the stuff's made overseas and imported, but we are working on it. Hang in there with us. But for everyone that has bought merch, it's fantastic because all the proceeds from those merch sales have gone back into what we do. So, yeah, big thank you to everybody.
Quick one for you, Pete. Aaron Johnson said, Peter looks different. What's he done? I said, I was thinking the same thing too.
Yeah.
There's no bookshelf behind me. That's what it is.
I think so, man. I was going to say, have you had a haircut or something, or what's happened there?
Dyeing your hair?
No, look, you can see all my greys. So.
Yeah, you look 10 years younger than last time.
Yeah, maybe you had a bit of trouble.
Must be having the because of the holidays. So a couple other questions. What have you heard? Have you heard anything about the restriction on the amount of guns and the sort of guns? Obviously, when they say the sort of guns, I'm assuming whatever we can get now in A and B, there's going to be a chopping list.
There will be. There are, for example, I know of quite a few collectors in New South Wales, in Sydney, that have very, very large firearms collections. One bloke in particular I'm aware of has a handgun collection, for example, with over 300 handguns alone in his collection. And they're the people that they're really going to be giving as much grief as possible to. In Victoria, if you don't know it, our registry down here, for argument's sake, if you're a handgun shooter and you've got one 9mm pistol, for argument's sake, and you put in a PTA for another 9mm, the response will be, well, you've already got one. Why do you need another one in that caliber? So they make it as absolutely hard as possible. And this is the same sort of stuff that the New South Wales Registry are doing. I was actually surprised that in the document, they've looked at the Victorian blueprint, as they've called it, and said, well, Victoria already does this. We're going to follow Victoria on some of this stuff. And yeah, I mean, isn't it just fantastic? The John Edwards case, as tragic as it was all the fault of the New South Wales Firearms Registry. 100%. You know, the coroner was scathing in his report. And instead of saying, yep, okay, we need to improve our policy and our processes, they've come out on the attack, because this document was actually prepared by Registry and sent to Cabinet for discussion. So rather than admitting that they were at fault and that they could do things better, they blamed licence holders and are going to make our lives even harder.
They gave him the commissioner's permit. They gave him the commissioner's
permit.
Absolutely. He either had a previous issue that needed them to sign off on it, or it was a current issue to either get the license, or he had issues previously in the 5 or 10, 20 years before that, where they said, well, we're not sure if we should give you a license. Let's put it to the commissioner or the person who makes the decision based on the permit. And then they made a mistake and they got it wrong. But that's also on the flip side, that's also affected a lot of people now, as you know. License timeframes have been blown out hugely. I mean, it took me 12 months to get my renewal through. I started thinking, geez, are they looking at me? Something wrong here? What have I done? I haven't done anything, Started getting paranoid about why it hasn't been issued. But then there's also people where they just don't want to take the risk now. If someone did something 20 years ago, nothing since, no traffic offences, no reoffending, we're just not going to take the risk on you. And then they just got to go. You've been on the stream, Peter, where I was reading out forms from, we believe you committed an offence now. Not you did. We believe you did. but we're getting good results back and good emails back from people that are fighting this stuff at either in court or at the tribunals and winning. So it's fantastic.
Absolutely. And as you guys know, we've got a number of cases still on the go in New South Wales that are reaching their conclusion. One of those involves a disabled shooter who's in a wheelchair that we've been supporting. And, they have made it extremely possible. Recently, we put out the story about a lovely gentleman called Mike Baldock, who used to be an ex-New South Wales police officer, one of their own, who was forced to retire due to PST. And the way the registry treated him once he was no longer in the job just basically said it all. Absolutely disgraceful. Since the John Edwards sad tragedy, New South Wales Registry has basically gone full retard on licences and have made it as hard as possible to either obtain one or to renew one. It's just ridiculous.
Just one thing, people don't know who John Edwards is. He's a guy that killed both of his kids, then killed himself, and then 6 months later, the ex-wife committed suicide, so the whole family's dead now. So, which is a very, very sad state of affairs. So, that was not far from me in Borkham Hills here in New South Wales. So, if anyone doesn't know who John Edwards is, he killed both his kids and then killed himself. So tragic all round. And then, like I said, the wife then committed, obviously didn't want to live on, and just a tragic family, major bad, very bad.
The good news is though, guys, as we've shown time and time again, if you're willing to stand up and fight the registries on bad decisions or on licenses, they are beatable. Unfortunately, it takes dollars and it takes money. But if you've got the resources and you've got the dollars and you're willing to stand up to them, you can knock these guys off and get their decisions reversed quite successfully most of the time. So I encourage every license holder that's been affected by either a refusal or a revocation of a license, unless you've really screwed up and done something bad. And I was on the phone to a New South Wales shooter the other day who actually didn't renew his membership of a large shooting organisation and had genuine reasons of target shooting and hunting. Took him 10 years to catch up with him and realise that he hadn't renewed his membership. Now, the bloke's a primary producer and actually is a hunter as well. He's made the mistake of assuming by not removing that condition on his licence that he still would have been covered. And it's actually only taken the registry 10 years to catch up with him. And now they've revoked his licence because he has been a member of a shooting organisation and done his required target shoots. Any excuse, any reason they can.
Exactly. And a big flyer here. Thank you for the super chat. Tube Circ one raised a good point. If someone steals my gun and I have my fingerprints on it and it's used in a crime, does that mean I'm guilty of the crime because my prints are on the gun? Well, not so much guilty, but they probably would take a look at you. No doubt about that. Because I remember overseas, when I was living overseas, they started collecting DNA from anyone. That they basically brought out some bullshit laws where they could DNA test and keep your DNA forever. So you could be walking home from the pub, take a piss on someone's front lawn, as you do, and someone later on the night is murdered there, and they find your DNA on the lawn or something like that, and you're now a suspect in a murder. To me, that's way overstepping.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Not good. What else is bad there? Sorry, go on. You go.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Whippy, bloody communist. So much for relocating to New South Wales. He definitely made a bad choice, I got to say. Should have come to Queensland.
We're running out of states, to be brutally honest. Soon we're going to consider Tasmania. That's even worse. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to get off the mainland.
Oh, one day Pete will be moving up to Queensland one day, I'm sure.
Absolutely, I'll second that. One of the big issues that I've got basically is the age thing as well. Just because you're 70, all of a sudden you can't hold a firearms license anymore.
That's the one. Yep.
Yeah. And I've had my ass handed to me in contests, from long range contests as well, from people at 75, 80 years old.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been to the pistol range and I've been gobsmacked to see a couple of the senior citizens well and truly outshoot the young guns. So, but for police to decide just because you're 70 or 80 years of age, you're no longer fit and proper to hold a firearms license and have firearms in your possession. Again, that's outrageous. It's discriminatory and it's just wrong and absolutely outrageous. Imagine if you reach 70 and they just automatically said you're not allowed to drive your car anymore.
Well, basically do sometimes if they think there's something wrong, even though the doctors say you're all good. They even try to pull that bullshit. That's a totally different can of worms to open up there, because I know elderly people, clients of mine, that can't allowed to drive and they got no way of even buying food and stuff like that. A couple more questions. What is the likelihood of this actually passing, and basically all of it or some of it, or what do you think would pass?
Look, I think that the key stuff, which will be, for example, the limits on the number of firearms, is probably the one thing that they will want to pass at all costs. The question will be timing. It would be, as I said, politically probably suicidal before the New South Wales election to try and get it through. But if this mob are re-elected, you can bet your bottom dollar that as soon as they're back in for another term, this will be on top of the priority list. Now, you've got a situation as well in the New South Wales Firearms Registry where key non-swarm personnel management in the New South Wales Firearms Registry are actually ex-New South Wales retired police officers. So the old boys network is alive, very much alive and well. So who's running the agenda? Who's pushing these items? And who, the registries are not there to write laws. Okay, governments and politicians make laws, but it seems that they're incapable of doing so, and they're being pushed and directed by police in their registries and through their ex-police registry contacts. So there's definitely an agenda here, beyond any doubt whatsoever. And as I said, the document is actually probably highly embarrassing to the government and also to the registry. So all I can say is whoever leaked the document, I'll give them 10 points for effort. A gutsy move and would have taken some guts to get it there, because leaks, I can guarantee that they'll be looking for who leaked it and how the document got out.
And they'll be looking for a new job as well.
Absolutely. Look, we've taken government on before and tried to get cabinet in confidence documents under FOI and been refused.
Maybe they could come work for the NSC.
Absolutely, they are privileged, and they'll fight tooth and nail to stop you knowing what they want to do and what they're talking about. So as I said, but will this happen? Again, the only way it's not going to happen is if you put enough fear into the politicians that they're going to pay the price, and that basically means a very, very vocal campaign and letting the politicians know loud and clear that there will be payback if this goes through.
Definitely. And so to change the subject a little bit, if you had $100,000, would you be giving it to some politician to line their pockets and give us some lip service? What would you do? Fight in court, or waste members' money on giving it to pollies?
Look, I'm not going to judge what another shooting organisation does with its members' money. That's their right, and they can do what they like. All I will say is if the NSC had a spare $100,000 sitting there, I wouldn't be giving it to any politician. I'd be using that money to mount a high court challenge on appearance laws. That would be undoubtedly what I would do with $100,000 if I had it spare. Because I'm very confident that the appearance laws, which affect every shooter, every state, all the way around the country, could be challenged in the High Court and beaten. So that's what I do with $100,000. That's the top of my priority list.
And there you go, guys. That's why you should sign up to the NSC. At least you know where your money's going, and basically right from the horse's mouth, isn't it? They said they will definitely take the money and fight for your rights and try and get back some of our stuff, not waste the money on political donations. It's exactly what people want to hear, because people are basically, the majority of smart people are basically sick to death of the politicians doing nothing for us across the board over all these years. So sign up to the NSC. Their details are down below in the description. So please sign up and become a member, and you get some great benefits, and it is a genuine reason for 3 states. What are the chances of coming to other states I think we can count out WA because they don't really have guns over there for much longer, do they?
There is a work in progress to spread the genuine reason through other states. Unfortunately, it's not a slow process. We know for a fact that the registries in some of the states are dragging their feet and making it as difficult as possible. But it will happen. And the idea is that, as I said, we will try and offer the genuine reason in every state. WA is going to get special attention and a lot of love from the NSC. We're actually in the process of appointing a state coordinator in Western Australia for the NSC as a one-person point of contact there, and that'll be announced fairly shortly. As you guys know, WA has been a big battleground for us. We've taken the police on there multiple times and beaten them every single time in the legal actions. So WA is very, very much on our radar. Tasmania is a work in progress and hopefully will be coming shortly. So it is all going to happen. Now, guys, I'll mention too, 2022 is going to be a very important year for all shooters because we've got elections. We've got a federal election, which will probably be in May. My take on that, as you guys know, is I do have a political background, is that ScoMo probably will get ousted. I don't know whether that's going from the frying pan into the fire, but that's probably likely to happen. We've also got a Victorian election coming up at the end of the year. And we've got some minor elections, by-elections in New South Wales, and we've got some minor elections in Tasmania, and we've also got an election in South Australia. So the NSC intends to participate and campaign politically against politicians that have done us wrong. We're loud and clear on that. We've put them on notice, and we said we're coming after you, and we're going to make your re-election campaign as difficult as possible. We can only do that with the support we get from you guys, but that's the only way you're ever going to achieve anything, and that is basically put the pollies on notice. Do good things, we'll get along well. Do bad things for the shooting community and shooters, there's a price to pay.
Before we go, how's Andrews looking down there?
Oh, look, very hard to tell. I think that Andrews personally, hopefully, is on borrowed time. But as Laurie Oakes once said, 24 hours is a long time in politics. Who knows? Who knows?
Exactly.
Only time will tell. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, I was in a conference call today with an MP from the Victorian Parliament talking about gun laws and what's going to be happening in Victoria and so forth. So I can't say who at this stage, but yeah, we're getting ready for an election in Victoria, and we'll be throwing absolutely everything we've got in the Victorian election battleground to make MPs that have done us wrong pay, both at a federal and a state level. So the NSC will be very politically active, and we'll be putting out how to vote guides and recommendations for all of the elections. So stay tuned, guys. If you're not on the newsletter, sign up to get the latest.
Exactly. And Cliff Lee does ask, how does he get hold of the merch?
Real simple, just send us an email. So you can either email me directly, which is vicepresident@nationalshooting.org.au, or the generic admin@nationalshooting.org.au, and I'll respond as quick as I can. So as I said, I think just about everybody that put in merch orders has already received them, and the feedback we got was that the stuff was great quality. And a lot of the guys actually ordered extras. So there are guys out there that ordered multiple wind cheaters and multiple T-shirts. So that was really, really pleasing. And the guys from Recall Designs do some great work with the stuff that they've produced for us. So we're very, very happy. And we're happy to put our name to a quality product. And we're happy that the guys that did order merch are happy with what they got. So it's something that we'll certainly be continuing with.
Oh, it's good to see. Good to see, especially coming into winter. I think people like some hoodies.
Yep.
That's for sure. And, well, we'll wrap it up there. It has been an awesome night. And we'll definitely try and get Peter on a bit more often and talk about what's coming up and what's happening. So I'd like to thank Peter and the NSC. Go sign up for the NSC. They're down below. And I'd like to thank Jason very much for coming back and joining us. It's always a pleasure to have Jason on. And guys, I'm going to push my other channel, get over to Building Stuff Australia. Links in the description. In 15 minutes, there is a new video coming out, and we'll discuss a bit of building and home renovations on there, live on air. So please jump down and find the link, and I'll talk to you over there in about 15 minutes. So thank you, Jason, and thank you, Peter, very much for tonight. I do appreciate it.
Thanks, guys, for having us on, and thanks to all the NSC supporters. Really appreciate all the support we get. And remember, we can't do what we do without you guys.
Yes, thank you so much. And you can find all your details down below, and Jason's details as well. So good night, everyone. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you in 7 days' time. Good night.
Night, guys.